5:39 p.m. Oops. 5:39 on November 12th. And since we do have a quorum, and I know Ms. Anderson is trying to get on and Patrick may come on later, but will you go ahead and call a roll call to ascertain our quorum?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, Martha Barrera.
Here.
Aaron Hamilton.
Here.
And Dottie McKinney here.
And so our staff in attendance include Mr. Jake Colander, Karen Warner, our Director of Compliance, Katie Rarick, our school business official, and then we have our principal from the elementary school, as well as a teacher who will be presenting, and Miss Nora Ellis, the school counselor at the high school. Is there anybody else that we have present?
I think you got everybody.
Okay. And so I guess we'll go to the pledge.
Okay. Want my little flag, I presume. Here we go. I pledge allegiance
To the
to the
flag
flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I don't see anybody.
Oh.
Is anybody? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to let you know that Miss Anderson has joined the meeting, so I'm going to
Oh,
promote her
wonderful.
to panelist.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Dottie, if you would just note that she arrived at 5:41.
Great.
Here we
Hello.
go. Hi,
Sorry for
Heather.
being late. We'll see how well this internet connection works.
Well, thank you for doing
joining
that.
us.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and I don't see any anybody in the audience other than the people who we mentioned, but if anybody has any public comment, I guess they raise their hand, or no public comment.
Yeah.
No.
I think all the folks here know how to raise their digital hand. But if anybody has a public comment, you could put it in the chat or raise your digital hand. But I suspect, Martha, that you're right, that these are just folks here for the agenda items themselves.
Okay.
But give them a second. I don't see anybody jumping to give us. So, no.
Okay, so we'll move on to item 3. Has everybody had the chance to look over the agenda from October 8th? Oh, I'm sorry, the agenda for tonight, November 12th. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
In a second.
I can second.
And can we get a roll call vote to approve the agenda?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, Martha Barrera.
Aye.
Aaron Hamilton.
Aye.
Heather Anderson.
Aye.
And Dottie McKinney. Aye.
Okay, so the agenda is approved as it's been written. Thank you. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from October 8th? I didn't see anything. They look complete. Thank you, Dottie. Any changes? Okay, I'll move to approve the minutes from October 8th. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Aaron. And can we do a roll call to approve the minutes?
Yes. Martha Barrera.
Aye.
Aaron Hamilton.
Aye.
Heather Anderson.
Aye.
And Dottie McKinney. Aye.
Okay, thank you. So that passes with the unanimous vote. And so now if we can bring Katie up for our financial committee and reports.
Hi, Katie.
Hi, Katie.
How's everyone doing?
Good. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. We will get started. So, okay, the first thing we have is our check register for the month of October. These are all the expenses that went out the door, including ACH payments and other payments and payroll payments that happened. And then our bank reconciliation shows that we did increase our bank balance in the month of October by a little over $500,000. We are going to start to see our bank balance go down once the February reconciliation hits. But for now, we are slowly gathering our money, making sure that we have funds for the later part of the fiscal year. Here's our list of outstanding checks, about $18,000 worth of outstanding checks. Here's all the revenue or return checks that happened in the month of October for a total of $2.3 million. We don't, this is not an item for approval, but it's just something that while we've been in renewal hearings that PD has asked for. So I wanted to start sharing it with the board. Every quarter we do a thing called a cash report. And what this is it tells you what our beginning balance is, what's our revenue and expenses for year to date, payroll liabilities, and then what our total ending cash is. And this report has to balance with our bank reconciliation. This was September that we did it for, and the next one will be December. So I'm just sharing this with the board in case folks have questions. And finally, our presentation. I don't think there was much movement. We did take the debt service out because we're going to use our reserve, our $600,000 reserve, as part or to help with our coverage ratio. I just moved the insurance payment that we received to a different category, but really nothing happened with revenue. And overall, nothing really happened with on the expense side. And I made a small adjustment for some of the desks and property that we purchased. Overall, our cash flow looks good. We're going to end about 600,000, which is what we have projected. Here's our funny little graph picture of the cash flow. And overall, things look fine. They are sustainable as long as we keep to this budget, which we are doing so far. We are also going to base our budget on less aggressive enrollment numbers. And so that is right around the corner. That is going to happen in probably March or April, definitely by April, probably March, that we will have to start working on FY26 budget. So it seems like we go audit, budget. And that's just what we do all the time. Never ends. Any questions on any of these items that I shared?
Yeah, Katie, I have one question.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for the change in how we're going to do the debt reserve, movement from, because it was with the projection that we were going to actually use, funds received to pay the debt, and now we have to jump into the reserve for cash flow purposes?
Yeah. So it's because the 600,000 never goes out the door. It's not like an expense. It's just a number we have to have at the end of the year. It's a coverage ratio. Right. So we decided instead of cutting $600,000 worth of staff, because it's not money that it's not a true expense, we would use our reserve amount or our ending fund balance.
Fund balance.
To cover that coverage ratio. Because we just have to show that we can cover 1.2% of the rent. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so we'll still be okay at the end of the year.
Yes, yeah, we're still gonna have 600K in the bank. And then we can tell the lender we have 600K, which meets their coverage ratio. What I talked to Jake and Patrick about was that I usually would keep that 600,000 in there as an expense to kind of be my buffer. But because it was between me having a cushion to make me feel comfortable and cutting people's salaries, I was like, we'll get rid of the cushion, but we have to keep to this budget. And that's what we agreed on.
Okay. So we ended up not cutting staff.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
How,
Oh, Jake.
how-
I'm sorry. Martha.
Yeah, I was gonna, unfortunately, Mr. Hamilton, is the odd part is that the 1 year we don't have staff that are submitting resignations for the semester is the 1 year when a couple of staff leaving a semester would have actually benefited our budget. So the double-edged sword of retention of staff right now because of the reduced student population. And I was actually going to say that I know this is a conversation for March, but I think even if we do equally aggressive enrollment numbers, where we're going to pull back as hiring projection and salary increases should not go up like they did this year. We're not looking to connect dots. But my question real quick, Katie, is, and I know this is like pennies compared to the overall budget, but looking at the checks that have not cleared, the majority of them were just recently sent from October 29th, but there was a little group of them that were either October 3rd or prior. What is the time, like those top four, and 3 of those top 4 are city of Albuquerque. So what is the time that we give for an organization or a place to cash whatever we're sending them before we cancel it and put that money back in the pool? Or how do we do that when it's just sitting there since like the first one's from May, the second
Yeah.
one's from June?
Technically, we have a year to void them, but what I should do is send this to Brittany. So Brittany gets this every month, and then she's supposed to take it, and any of these older ones, she's supposed to look into and see what's going on with the vendor. But just to make sure she sees them, I will flag these 4 for her to go and look into to make sure they got them. But yeah, technically we have a year until we have to void them.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to know the process.
Mhm.
I just had a question about like RFRs. Are they flowing okay, or are they slow
Yeah.
as usual?
No, they're not slow as usual. Actually, RFRs are flowing fine. The holdup with RFRs, we did get a $79,000 one that we submitted, and we got that one pretty quick. So the woman on our team that does RFRs, her father was like really, really sick for a few months, and so we are catching up on them. And so she got back in the office about a week ago and is going as fast as she can to get through Q1. So, but I will say PED is for the most part turning around pretty quick.
Okay, good.
Yep. The one thing that we are waiting on that is going to be a big deal for us in the spring is our lease assistance. And so we haven't even received a letter. We usually have a letter by now, but we need the letter, and then we need to bar it, and then we need to submit the reimbursement. And so as much as I would love for that to happen in December, I don't think it's going to happen until January or February.
Okay.
And that's a lot of money for Explore. So.
Okay. Any other questions?
I think the only other question I asked Katie, and maybe this is not the venue for it, but just to put out there, I know that the conversation about funding from the PEC, I think you've been brought in on what Justin had talked about, and there are several schools sort of looking into it to sort of essentially pool our resources to figure out how we can advocate so that we don't take that kind of a hit to our budget moving forward. Is there anything that is at this time prudent for either the board to know about that or us, or do we just need to wait? What's your feeling on that?
So I think Justin's more in the loop on this one than I am. But what they're doing is they're changing the funding formula again. Why they can't just leave it alone, I don't know. But they're going to change the at-risk value to follow the school and not the district. For some schools, that's a great thing. For like Rio Grande, that's a great thing. For you guys, it's not such a great thing. Your at-risk would actually be much lower than it is right now. And so it potentially could cut about $500,000 or more from next year's budget. And so, yeah, it's not, it's interesting. It's really a divisive issue. This is not an issue that all charters are going to come together on, because for half the charters out there, it helps, and the other half it doesn't. And so I don't know how the coalition's going to navigate that one. But I do think the board, once we know more, because there was a meeting, or is going to be a meeting this week, I think, with like the guy, the school leader from Cottonwood. And hopefully from that meeting, we learn more. And if we need folks to advocate, they can. I have no idea if it will go through or not. This has been like whispered that this was going to happen for years and never has. So I don't know if it's actually something to worry about or not.
Gotcha. Okay. Now that we freaked everyone out, we can move on.
Thanks, Jake.
Sorry.
Any
We'll
other
give you an
questions?
update. Once I know more, we will tell you if there's some advocacy that needs to happen. Right now, I just don't know.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? So do I go ahead and have a motion for approval, or do we need to do the loan agreement finalized and audit status? Is that from
No.
Katie or?
Well, I wanted Katie here while we talk about those two things, but the only thing you'd really need to approve are items A and B, and I assume there were no bars, correct, Katie?
No bars. Nope.
Yeah.
No
Okay.
bars.
So you really only need to approve A and B, but the financial reports covered in A and B. We do need to get those accepted
Okay,
or approved.
so I'll go ahead and move to approve the check register for October of 2024 and the bank reconciliation, outstanding checks report and receipts report for October. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Heather. And if we can do a roll call vote. You're on mute, Dottie, sorry.
I apologize. Vice Chair Martha Barrera,
Aye.
Aaron Hamilton,
Aye.
Heather Anderson,
Aye.
Dottie McKinney, aye.
And so that passes unanimously. Thank you so much for that, Katie. So who's gonna do the loan agreement and the audit status?
This was really just a sharing that I thought we should have on here. It's actually the lease agreement, right? You're leasing, right? I had it loan, but I just changed it because that's
Yeah.
incorrect language terminology. But it's a lease agreement where the organization, the nonprofit, is paying for the roof or other things and then leasing it all back to you.
Okay.
I just wanted the board to know that we've discussed this at the last several meetings, I think. But it has actually been executed to my understanding, and I wanted it here while Katie and Jake were here in case there were any questions or if they had anything to add. But I wanted you to know that the board to know that that was indeed finalized. I believe executed as well, and that may be where the
Yes.
money was received from that was reviewed just now. But I defer to Katie and Jake because I don't really know.
The money has been received, and unlike the other Explore schools, we are going to use the insurance money that we received back from the insurance company to essentially pay back the lease.
Okay. Any other questions, or Jake, do you have anything to add?
Sorry. No.
And then- Thank you.
And then on the audit status, I think Katie kind of mentioned during her presentation that it's going, and keep everything crossed that it gets done soon. And all okay, but I guess I had a question I've been asked about the audit committee, Katie. So we don't know yet about when an exit conference might be held or correct?
Oh, no, I don't think we do. I think Joel was getting that through like review process this week. And so once he does that, we'll know, but probably
But it
next
should be
week.
coming this month, we think? Yes?
Oh, definitely this month. It'll probably be next week. I just don't know exactly
With
when.
with Joel, I have us scheduled at 10 o'clock tomorrow
For the audit
That-
committee?
for the exit meeting with Joel Cameron.
Did he invite all of the audit committee members?
He invited
Oh,
Dottie and Katie and Laura Green and Patrick. None of those four have accepted the invitation.
there we
Okay, so
go.
the meeting is Wednesday,
The
November
13th at 10 o'clock.
I wonder if he's gonna
13 at
move it.
10
I don't know.
a.m.
Madam Vice Chair, I must have missed the notice, the email, switching over to the Explore Academy email, so I'll go back and make sure I accept to attend.
And I can reach
And
out to Joel. I'll email him and ask him if he could make sure to resend the invitation to everyone that needs to be invited, just in case it got filtered out somewhere.
yeah, and maybe we'll give Jake, if you could give both their personal and I could send you all of them in one email if you want, but send the personal and the board for academy emails both for this time around. We're trying to move just to the board ones, but just
Sure.
to make sure that those folks get it. And then who is the new parent? I've forgotten.
Is it still Monica Navarro?
Monica. I don't know if she's heard. And then Jerry Gallegos.
Yeah, he's a community.
Yeah,
So-
I only see Dottie, Katie, Laura, and Patrick are the only four besides myself on the invite he sent.
And Laura being Laura from Axiom,
Axiom
or
from my
okay.
team.
So we need to get the community member and the parent. And so Jake, you and I will connect. I'll give you all their emails and you can make sure Joel sends it out again. Okay.
Perfect. No problem.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So that was all I had there. Chair,
Thank you.
uh,
Well, thanks for
Vice
doing
Chair
that.
Britta.
Okay, so I guess we're on to, we'll let Katie go unless you have anything else for us, Katie.
Nope.
Thank
I
you for being
appreciate it.
here.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks y'all. Bye guys.
Thank you.
See you next time.
All right, sounds good.
So I assume when I drop Katie that oh no, she stopped sharing. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
I wasn't sure what would happen to her screen. I assume it just go off, but oh, she
Okay.
left. Okay.
Yay. So we are on
now-
to number 6. Go ahead, Karen.
We are.
Yay.
And I assume that you would want both Principal Valdez and the teacher from the elementary for the next section. Is that right, Jake?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So I'm going to promote them, Martha. Sorry,
Okay.
Vice Chair Barrera.
Oh, Martha's fine.
So, if they will accept the promotion, they'll come to the panel, and you can unmute yourself and hopefully turn on your video. And
Excellent. And I'll do the brief interlude. I'll actually let Dr. Valdez, I think she either is home or is still traveling. Did you get home, Dr. Valdez?
I'm home. I got all the boxes in the house, literally.
Okay, perfect. So I know there was some trepidation over the last several days with things that needed to get done. So I'd like to thank both Dr. Valdez and for Martha for being here this evening. I will let Dr. Valdez introduce Martha Leon so that she can jump in on that celebration this evening.
So good evening, Governing Board. Thank you for the opportunity for allowing us to highlight a little bit of the cool things that are happening at our school at the K-5 campus. I do have Miss Martha Lee. She is one of our 4th grade teachers. She is also our PLC chair this year. And as I've gone through some of the classrooms to do literacy walks and formal observations and things like that, Miss Martha has done some really amazing things with her students. They're learning some really cool concepts. And so she's going to go ahead and share some of what she's doing with the kids at our school.
Oh, hi. I'm sorry. My name is Martha Lee, and I am a 4th grade STEM teacher at the elementary school. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. Did that work? No? Okay. All right. So my flavor from last term was called Solar Quest, and it was a journey into energy. We did non-renewable and renewable energy. The first half of the term was non-renewable energy, and the
Excuse-
second half, pardon me?
Excuse me, Miss Lee, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm not seeing it. Is it my screen or are we still seeing something weird? You think you need to
Okay, hang on.
select the screen you want to share and click share?
Oh,
So click the share at the bottom, the little arrow,
okay,
and then it asks you which screen you want to share. And then you click on it and click share. Now it's saying
did
double
that
click
work?
to enter full screen mode. Maybe try a double click.
Hmm. How is that?
It just says that you've started screen sharing. Double click just to enter full screen mode. I don't know if that's me. Are you all seeing it?
That's what I'm seeing too. Martha, you're welcome to just share the document with myself or with Karen. Maybe we can see if on our end we can get, there's part of it loading.
It's starting to come.
Yeah.
Okay,
Did you select a window and then click the share button, or how did we get here?
yes, I did.
Hmm.
Let me go ahead and try this again.
Maybe try share entire screen instead of a specific window. That might be better.
Without a share screen. Okay.
So
Share entire screen. Oh, I didn't even see that. Okay.
yeah, that didn't work. Why are we seeing it in one quarter like that?
You might need to open the window in full mode, maybe.
Yeah, how about if you go up to the top, like right corner, is there a little box in the middle to maximize the screen?
Okay.
In the top right corner. Where there's an X and then way
Yeah,
off
I've
to the
got it
right.
on slideshow.
Yeah. Do you want to, you have my email? Are you able to just send me a link to this and I can try to share it?
Sure. And this is to,
Karen Warner.
okay. Go back here.
Only because I know
Give me
you
one
emailed
second.
me earlier today.
Okay. Try this one more time. No, it's not going anywhere. Exit full screen. Okay. Let me get to my drive. And this is Karen.
Yeah. You emailed me earlier today
Yeah.
about the meeting, so I thought that might be handy.
There you go.
Okay.
It's sent.
Okay. Let's see. Here we go. See if I can share it. Here we go.
Okay.
So I will.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so my flavor was called Solar Quest, Journey into Energy. If you want to go to the next slide. Students learned about renewable and non-renewable energy through hands-on projects and experiments. We learned about energy transfer, types of energy, and the difference between renewable and non-renewable. Like I said, the first half focused on non-renewable and how energy is transferred, and the second focused on renewable energy, specifically solar. So our first experiment was a catapult design. They were given a basket full of materials and they were told to design a catapult. And if you'll click on the slide, there's some students building and they all had media approval. And then if you click one more time, there is the end result. And I believe Jake got to test this as well.
I did. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So The kids
Sorry.
had a blast with that. The next one we did was solar ovens, which was a really big one. They had a lot of fun with this. We got pizza boxes donated, and I provided the materials, and they put their boxes together. And if you click, this is what one looked like before it went out to the sun. And next one, there. This is one actually in the sun, and you can see the thermometer inside. And it melted everything. AM class took a little bit longer, but PM class took about 5 minutes. And it melted everything except the graham crackers. And they had a lot of fun eating those outside.
Some more. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next slide. So for their final flavor prop project, they discovered battery operated versus solar energy. They built a car and a fan, one battery operated and one solar powered. Different cars, different fans, different sources. They tested them to make sure they worked, and then they had fun racing their cars. Spoiler alert, the battery operated cars won because students determined that the battery stored more energy than the solar panels. So they've told me next year I have to get larger solar panels. And then if you'll click, you'll get to see what they built.
Oh, wow.
There you go. And I believe that was it. One more slide. Yeah. So these are all the standards we covered. And like I said, they had a lot of fun doing it. They did very well on their core assessment. No issues there at all. And I plan on repeating this next year.
It's wonderful. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are there any questions from anyone or comments?
Martha,
Thank
it
you for
looks like sorry, I was just gonna say, it looks like a great class, and if I were in elementary school, I would love to take the class from you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Lee. That was wonderful. It looks like so much fun, and the kids really, really learned a lot.
Yeah, they did. They did. I was impressed.
They probably don't know how much they really did learn.
Well, now last year we did something in another unit that the 5th grade teachers are going, they remembered this and this and this and this. And I was like, thank you. So hopefully in 5th grade, they'll still remember it.
Well, learning by doing, right? So of course you made some really good projects for them. And I used to be an elementary teacher, so I love when you folks come and share some of the things going on in the classroom. So thank you for that.
Oh,
I'm
you're
not on the
welcome.
board.
Thank you.
I'm the board liaison, but I really enjoy this part of the meeting.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to present.
Thank you for taking the time this evening to share with us. This is the spotlight really is the board's favorite thing, because sure, we have to do all the other stuff, but this is what keeps us going from time to time. So thank you so much.
I do want to invite you to come over to our school. We have an ongoing art that's being displayed by our art teacher. She has it going on all year. We ordered a bunch of lights to put in displays, and so as students create things and they align with the art projects, she's displaying them throughout the entire building, where we have art displays and windows and things like that. So feel free to come down whenever you're there. This week, if you have a chance, on the 15th, we also have a grandparents pastry that's going on at the same time as our book fair. So you're more than welcome to come and stop by if you guys would like.
Thank you.
What time is the book fair on Friday, the 15th?
It's in the morning, because we have grandparents coming in for the pastry at 8:45. So it's super early in the morning. So right around 8:05, you can start coming into the book fair, and it's in the flex room right next to the cafeteria.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you both.
So yeah, so I think we're going to switch at this point. I'm going to send you back through cyberspace. You're welcome to stay or go enjoy the rest of your evening. And I'm going to bring in Nora Ellis, the school counselor. So
Thank you both. Thank you, Dr. Valdez. Thank you, Martha. Appreciate you both.
Okay. Okay. And then promote Miss Ellis. There we go. Miss Ellis, if you're there, you could unmute and turn your video if you're
Yes.
able. And Jake,
Yes,
did you
I'm
want to introduce this? Okay, good.
Yeah, I'd love to introduce it because this is what I wanted to share with the board that we were looking at. I think you guys know that part of our 5-year plan, one of the goals that we had established is really trying to find opportunities for kids to get outside of the walls of the school. So in fiddling around and kicking some names around, we are titling this Explore Horizons. If you've not heard that phrase before, this is what we are calling the things that we're working on in that direction, new opportunities for kids and new opportunities for them to get outside the school and participate in a variety of things. And I actually brought Miss Ellison as sort of we're partnering on getting a lot of this work done because the work that she does as our college career counselor is it's amazing already. And so I thought it was just the perfect way to sort of tap into her continued skill set to find different things for kids to experience and do. And if you guys remember, we had put out in the 5-year plan talks about expansions for college visits, internships, all kinds of different things. And so Ms. Ellis put together a small presentation on Explore Horizons, the things that she's been working on her end. Many of these are still kind of, they're in the gestation phase, I guess. Like there are some things that are happening live and some things that like we're sort of working through the details to see if we can get pushed out the door. And I'll get into some more of those kinds of things when I get to my school leader report. But I'll give the time to Miss Ellis to share with you guys what she's been working on.
Thank you, Mr. Colander. I will share my small presentation with you. If I can figure it out. I haven't
At the
used
bottom.
Zoom in a while, so I apologize.
Oh, you've got it.
I don't know how to get to my other window.
Well, we're seeing your desktop right now.
Yes.
So
Okay, so
right,
maybe
so
hold on.
when you click share, it should open up a screen that shows several different windows. Pick the window that has your presentation and click share, and there you go. And yeah, and if you we are seeing your notes on the left. If you want to just start the slideshow,
Okay.
it should work. From yeah, you can do it from the top right. You could do, there's probably many ways, but the slideshow, the button that says
There we go.
slideshow, you could click there. Yeah, I think that'll work. There we go.
All right,
There
so
we go.
this is just going to be a summary of what Mr. Colander just mentioned, and some of them are still in the works. So I wanted to start with dual credit. We do get a lot of questions about this from parents. So it's open to students from 9th through 12th grades. And based on the recent enrollment reports, we do have approximately between 30 and 40 Explore students taking dual credit courses every fall and spring from CNM mainly. We will have occasionally 1 or 2 students taking dual credit from UNM, but the enrollment process is a little more complicated and the communication is not the best. So the main avenue is CNM at this point. And the students have any opportunity to sign up for any class they want, as long as it awards credit. We do not limit what they can take as dual credit. And starting this year, they've also started earning Explore credits from their college classes, from their first course. And to help ease the students into this, we have CNM enrollment workshops every fall and spring to help them, because there are about 10 steps involved in being a dual enrollment student at CNM. So we support them in that endeavor. We do receive enrollment and grade reports, so we can keep track of what they're doing, what they're completing, what they're not completing. Basically, if they're dropping out, we know. So as far as college visits and college applications goes, the last few years we've been really starting to expose our students to more and more out-of-state colleges to expand their horizons. Hence the name Explore Horizons a little bit, I guess. It relates. So this year, we kind of expanded that exponentially, and we had about 18 out-of-state colleges visit our campus, in addition to all the local schools. We had some big names like Princeton and Tufts and Vanderbilt and Tulane and Purdue and Wesleyan. The kids were so excited to see these colleges. For Princeton, I mean, the room was so packed, there wasn't any spot left on the carpet to sit. And I encourage students personally to sign up for Common App, and I provide them 100% support on how to complete their applications on Common App, and I submit recommendation forms, upload all their documents, because Common App is the best avenue for them to be exposed to a lot of different colleges and with one application just to access all of those colleges. And also UNM is mainly the college that a lot of our students recently have been opting to go to because of the free tuition and being close to home. So we do have UNM come over every year to do an application workshop, so they can just do it with the guidance of a UNM admissions counselor and be set to go before December. So this year we've started working on building an internship and job shadowing program with Mr. Colander, and student in grades 10 to 12 will be able to earn Explore major credits from their internship and shadowing experiences. We have connected with quite a few of our parents and some community members to have available resources for students who want to be in this program. At this point, I think we have a list of about maybe 30, 35 resources. Some of them are from the state, some of them are from local businesses, and some of them have deadlines, some of them are rolling year-round. So we will be encouraging our students to apply to these opportunities, as well as finding internships or job shadowing through their own family or friend contacts. And during our last career fair, a lot of our presenters mentioned opportunities for shadowing, if not internships, and the students will be earning credits. So we will be rolling out this soon, along with guidelines, what criteria we're looking for a student who's going to be admitted into this program. So we will be providing them support for writing their resumes, building their schedules so they can have the time to go and do this. We will have monthly check-ins and journaling, and so there will be supports in place. And because we want to build the whole child, and with their interests in Explore majors, connect that with an internship opportunity, connect that with a dual credit, so make that a whole package. As I mentioned just now, we've been organizing an annual career fair for the last 3 years. This year, we had 30 presenters from a variety of career fields, and some of those were medicine, finance, veterinary science, engineering, forensics, business, law enforcement, military, movie production, nonprofit management, speech pathology, psychology. So it was, quite diverse, and the students enjoyed the presentations immensely. They were very attentive, and we had over 400 students attend these sessions throughout 4 days and during the last week of October. So the other thing we want to incorporate into the students' experience as a world citizen and just expanding their horizons, we want to include student exchange programs as well as summer travel experiences and opportunities that could potentially translate into academic research projects, papers, and perhaps some credit. So through our college and counseling Google Classrooms, we provide information and guidance on short-term or long-term federally funded exchange programs, summer camps. And I do help our students apply to those programs if they're interested. In our administration, Mr. Colander right here is working on a list of resources for private student exchange programs that operate on a fee basis, but which we could potentially collaborate with and help for placement for our students for a more streamlined experience. The one thing I wanted to mention is our honors capstone. Previously, this was a requirement from all of our seniors, but our administration decided to make it optional, starting with this year's senior class. So currently we have about 17 seniors who opted. Out of 48 graduating seniors, we have about 17 of them who volunteered to do a honors capstone project, which is pretty impressive. I wanted to list some of their proposals, their topics, and they will be presenting in the spring. They're currently working on this research. So some of them are, would physical security measures make computer towers safer than security software, exploring capabilities of low light photography, mental health through loss research experiments, building a multi-fuel diesel scooter, usage of waste oil as a viable fuel source, hydrogen fuel cells and automotive engineering. And I did not list here, but we have a student who's building a soccer ball that is remote controlled of some sort. So very excited to see that one. And we have another student who's writing a book. So this is all I have for you all, and just a little in a nutshell what we're doing other than just having the kids in the classroom.
Thank you for sharing those. Those are all wonderful opportunities for the students. Does anyone have any questions or comments? I do have a question, Ms. Ellis. For the credits, for the dual credits, is it just one class that they're able to get a dual that the dual credit counts for a credit at Explore, or did they have the opportunity to do multiple? I know Mr. Colander had mentioned, I think it was last month, Mr. Colander, that you had mentioned that we were going to maybe look at giving the students in the upper grades dual credit opportunities, so we could like take care of some of the freeing up the teachers or the classroom space. Is that something that's still in the works, or?
I'll have Mr. Colander answer that question, because
okay, sorry.
this year, the decision was the first dual credit class would
So just the
give
first
them
one.
credit.
Okay.
But I will defer to him for the recent developments.
But yes, both are true. So right now the policy says the first one, but what we want to do is, and this is why sort of like connecting a lot of oddball dots, but this is why in terms of the conversation of funding and our budgeting for next year, it's why even if we go with more, even if we go with equally aggressive enrollment numbers in terms of students, actual hiring that we're looking at will be less aggressive than what we did because of things like this. If we expand the dual credit opportunities for kids where they're getting credits for every dual credit class they take can in the majors or miscellaneous credits they have, it gives them some incentive to go that route. I think what we're already seeing as an example of this year's enrollment numbers. So as an example of that, we have one of our PE teachers who they just said we're going to have to find some other things for them to teach this year because we just don't have enough kids to fill all the classes that they have. And so I want to make sure that as we expand that opportunity for dual credit to count for more things, that we're also not hobbling the majors teachers, because what's going to be for us probably the figuring it out as we go is, if there's no cap on it, what does that do overall in terms of numbers in majors classes? Because we don't want to see those disappear for favor of dual credit classes, but we also want to make sure that it's an option for kids who want to choose more college courses as their pathway their senior year for them to be able to pursue that. So I think the current policy is still the first, but I don't know that we have it in the handbook that we have moved to accepting all of them, but that is the conversation right now, is accepting all dual credit for something on their credit analysis.
Okay, and the same thing for the internship, that's still in the works for it to count as major credits, is that correct?
Yeah,
All right.
Nora, sorry, go ahead, Nora, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I just wanted to say yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we were negotiating a guide for that about how does that translate in terms of credits based on the number of hours they would serve within those internships. So yeah, a lot of it, like I said, a lot of it is the Horizons thing, because I think much of it will be things that either roll out next semester or will be thoroughly solidified for the following school year. But this is our year to start getting the wheels moving on getting that done.
Okay, I love it. I love it all. It's great. Well, thank you, Miss Ellis. Anybody
Thank you.
else have a comment or question?
Thank you very much, Miss Ellis. That was a great report. I wished I was in school again.
Yeah,
I'll
great
just say for my end-
opportunities. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, from my end, I just want to thank Miss Ellis for all the work she puts into this. She's really great at being able to tackle some of these logistical things. I think when I mentioned I want to see if we can track down some internship and job shadow opportunities, it probably was less than a week before she started getting a list compiled, and has just been chugging away at it. And so she's just been excellent at being able to do a lot of this work with Explore Horizons. And so we're lucky to have her.
Thank you.
so
For
much.
sure.
Thank you.
Have a good night,
Yeah,
everyone. Thanks for having me. If you don't have any more
Thank
questions.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have to say, one of the things from being on the board for these past years, like I've been able, like things that we talked about, and to see them come into fruition is just like super exciting. So I love it, all of it. So thank you, Mr. Colander, for being a part of that and taking that lead. So, okay, so we are at the administration report. So does anybody need to take a break? I know we've only been in here an hour. But anybody need to take a break? No? Okay. All right. So you're next, Mr. Colander. Thank you for being here.
All right, of course, thank you. And to sort of elaborate on some of those things, because it was in my intention this evening to talk a little bit more about them. So I'll use an example of the travel program for students. We connected with the American Exchange Project. I don't think we talked about this last month, but if I'm about to wander into territory we already covered, please let me know. But that organization is a fully funded travel experience for students. That's one of the reasons that we were attracted to it, is that there is no barrier for who can attend. It is all within the United States, but the intent is to get kids from the communities that they have grown up in and are used to, and let them experience something outside of that. It is for students who have graduated, so it's a program that they are a part of their senior year, building up to the post senior year, like in June, travel week that they get to go do. And in exchange, whoever is our exchange manager at our campus both coordinates that, but also works on receiving students. So this organization has Albuquerque as one of its destination cities, because we present obviously a culture with our indigenous populations, the Hispanic culture that's a part of our state. Just the general size of it, it's just so different from what students on the Northeast coast might have experienced. And their intention really is to not match kids with a location, but to match them with an experience. So our students that travel, let's say we get 10 kids that travel, all 10 of them may go to different cities, because they're not picking, I want to go to Boston, or I want to go to Alaska, or I want to go to California. What they pick is, what is the experience that you want to have based on what you've been doing and how you've grown up. And then they match those kids with cities. So they all kind of split up and head. And similarly, the students that come here. And so at this point, they have paired with 2 schools in New Mexico, and we are aiming to be their third, because if we could get joined up with them, it is, like I said, it's fully funded for students to attend. They don't pay anything out of pocket to be a part of this. And it also pays the manager, whichever teacher takes that up, it pays them a stipend to run the Albuquerque experience for the students that come here and have that opportunity. So we met with them this last week, and Karen Cassidy is our, I don't, if you guys know her, she was the head administrator down in Las Cruces. She's back up here in Albuquerque with us. And that's one of the things that she said that she would be interested in looking at, along with one of our other teachers, Ashley Novakowski. The 2 of them sat in on that meeting with them, because I think what we would like to do is, this is a thing where the students sign up is October through November. So this is definitely a next school year project. But to get this underway, our hope is that when we start talking to kids in the spring, the experiences that we're going to share with them in terms of dual credit opportunities, internship opportunities, travel opportunities, the colleges we've exposed them to, the careers, the representatives that have come for career fair days. We're hoping to inspire that we don't quite peter off on that pyramid of enrollment that we've been seeing, and that students who are juniors are now starting to think about things they get to look forward to as seniors at Explore Academy. So for us, there really is, we're trying to play the long game on this and take some things slowly, but with great intention and with a unified vision behind the Explore Horizons to give kids opportunities out there. So that is a big part of what we're looking to do over the next few months, which is why some of this, I understand from the outside, it probably looks like some of this is going very slow. It's trudging along to a degree, but a slow trudge sometimes is better than running face first into something that you don't realize is going to have some aftermath effect that you don't want. So that's kind of the process. So for enrollment and marketing, I want to let you all know that we have, let's see, the application window for 24-25 will open December, should be for 25-26. We're officially at the stage where we're going in 2025 through 2026 enrollment, and the process is beginning now. In essence, we've got our first informational session happening November 21st at our campus. What we found in October, when we did an informational session, October, I think it was like around the 4th, our intention was to do an enrollment drive for this school year. And we found that the majority of parents coming to attend that were actually shopping for next school year already. So last month when we met and Patrick had met with Katia Pride, our director of marketing, he said, what are we working on now? So she kind of took that impetus to say, well, let's start. Instead of waiting for January, let's start the process now. So we're already beginning to have, let's see, I think we're going to, sorry, I'm just changing within the 25-26 with a tentative lottery date for March the 12th. And our hope is that we're trying to tackle it a couple of different ways. There's now a marketing plan that Katia shared with us. I think she wants to solidify some things because we have an opportunity, as an example, to partner with KRQE. She went and looked at their program for us to be able to advertise on their member stations. And as embarrassing as it sounds, they have a program that we would have to appear on. So I would be there in my little sweater vest and tie being interviewed at some point. But we had a choice between a low end option, which gives us a little bit less exposure, a little fewer interviews, or a higher end option. And I told them I'm going to try to channel my inner Patrick Molina and say, invest in the higher end option now. I would rather spend a little more than we need to and say, well, we probably could have pulled back, than to have taken the lower option and us finding ourselves next September going, man, I wish we would have gone all out and just done whatever we could. So I sort of said, let's green light the higher option for it. But because it's so much exposure, I mean, can you imagine 4 interviews on a morning show with me? I think we would see the end of the television era. So we're looking to pair with the Rio Rancho campus to see if they want to share the expense with us, and then just kind of advertise it as Explore Schools and sort of separate the campuses through there. So she wasn't here this evening to share some of the information because she wanted to make sure her I's were dotted and T's were crossed. But that's some of the things we're looking at for enrollment and marketing is sort of starting now early with the parent meetings and moving into some other avenues for advertising to get us out there more. We are hoping that exposure becomes our friend. So we have the mid-high choir will be performing at one of the Lobo games. We're looking at getting shirts for them to wear that are all the same, that then become part of their uniform shirt. Because we're like, well, there is some exposure to have. We've been doing flyer placement around town. There is some exposure. I know you guys are aware we did the KUNM advertisement. We're looking to do that again around February so that we can lead up applications to that March, to the March lottery. So a lot of things on what we're attempting for enrollment and marketing to both gain exposure for the school, as well as provide things like what, Nora was presenting, opportunities for kids because half of it's the enrollment and application, the other half of it's retention. And so a lot of these efforts that we're making are also designed around retention. When kids see, man, if I'm going to the choir and I join that, maybe I could perform at a Lobo game. Or, we've got these kids doing internships. I'd love to do that. And the other school I was looking at doesn't really talk about those kinds of things. So we're hoping that all feeds itself to one another for enrollment and marketing. For the vistas, I included in the drive I shared with Karen a copy of our report, so I will share screens with you guys just so we can preview it a little bit. Of course, we were excited to find out that we were obviously designated a spotlight school. I was kicking some dust onto the imaginary shoes of the umpire at the PED that they took away the School of Excellence designation, because that really was something I was building the teachers up, because we were so close last year from what I was seeing in terms of how schools who achieved it, how they scored relevant to us. But it's not a designation any longer, so Spotlight is as good as it gets, and we're really excited and very proud to have gotten there. One of the things that I think we had talked about last year, and that was included within the academic plan for our strategic plan for the school. I try to scroll down, I'm sorry, very quickly to if they've got the charts on here for proficiency gains. The website has it laid out with some charts that measure it, and I don't see those here. But our reading scores, our math scores showed an increase over the course of last year. And it's a trend that a lot of schools didn't see, but that was one of those contributing factors, that our proficiency rate looked kind of, I think, where we would anticipate it being, but it actually identified a growth trend for us as a school. And it was similar to reading. Reading sort of had a growth trend to it. And it's lower than the overall score is lower than we were wanting, which is why literacy is one of the things we are trying to work on as a school. But in general, all of those things, access to AP curriculum, now that we have the AP calculus course, the scores that we're having within our assessments, those kinds of things helped us to earn this designation as a school. So I wanted to share that with you all, and you've got a copy of the full report if you'd like to look at any of it, because it also does break down our subcategories of students and where we score along with them. So you can see kind of the New Mexico to Explore Academy conversion for the populations down here. And I think without exception, I mean, I don't have to eat crow, without exception, we're outperforming New Mexico in every subcategory. And it's something that we're really proud of that we were able to do as a school. And I actually have to credit the model for that, because we get asked consistently, well, how do you drive student interest? What is it that keeps kids engaged? And how do you make sure that you're achieving that with all of the populations that you serve? And those opportunities kids have within the flavor choice is exciting. The website is also linked there. And then the other academic data that I'll share, one of the goals that we had indicated in our key objectives was to look at the seminar pass rate for all students, and especially when it came to breaking down core versus flavor assessment. That information, they are working on building that tool now. So I know that Justin is working with Clint Cosper, our director of data. I'm getting his title probably incorrect, Karen. I don't remember what Clint's title is. Director of
Data systems.
Data systems. Okay, all right.
I'm going to go with that.
I'll take your intonation to mean that we're both probably on the right path, but not 100% sure. And so he's working on that report for us to be able to do, but we did want to share out our PSAT scores because those were also just released, how our students did. The first one breaks it down by student, but sheet 2 really is the one for us to look at, because it compares our school to the district. And the thing that blew my mind a bit was that it also compares us to the United States, to our state, the whole of the United States, as well as to global scores for kids that took the PSAT. And our average score, our mean score was 1025, as you can see from this column here. So our average score at Explore Academy outperformed the state, the United States, and all global test takers. So I was pretty excited for that. I was like, we're trying to kick butt on a global scale, and there's a degree to which we are when it comes to the PSAT. So that information was exciting for us to see and for us to be able to sort of highlight and capture to put out there. So very proud of the work our teachers do to get us there.
Jake, do you have the standard deviations on these?
Mr. Hamilton, I was an English teacher, sir, so I do appreciate your utilization of the phrase standard deviation. I don't know that I would know how to calculate it myself, and I didn't see it contained in the spreadsheet here.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm just curious how far the gap is.
Yeah, I don't know if the data here would be sufficient for someone who knows how to do that to run the standard deviation within what they've shared with us, or if that's something that they would have to produce on their end because it requires a more detailed accounting than what we have as the general score. Thank you. I wish I could share that with you, and I wish I was a math guy to that degree that I could run those, but I just don't know how.
I feel like Patrick would have asked for it.
Yeah, we're all channeling our inner Patrick,
That's
right?
what, that's what I was doing. I was trying to channel my inner Patrick.
Yeah, that's excellent. Well, I'll ask, you know what? I'm going to write that down to ask Melissa Hernandez, who's our director of assessment, to see if she has that information. They may run it on their website, or she may, if we know what she would need to do it or what someone would need to do it, she may be able to get that information to us.
Either way,
Well,
it's a good job. I always like being above the average.
absolutely.
Coming from an average person, it's always good to be above average.
But I did want to just share, Google's a great and horrible thing. But I just did look up what's the standard deviation of the PSAT. It does say what it would be if a student would take the same test. The standard deviation of the repeated test scores is called the standard of error. That's all I can find. And it would be plus or minus 40 points. But it doesn't give me like any more than that. So anyway,
So if we were to take the plus 40, that still gets us above global, which is a 954, and we're at 1025.
yeah, it's a little bit different though, because this is a student retaking the test, right?
Yeah.
So these are all different kids taking it, I assume. So I can't find it. I was trying.
I appreciate that.
Anyway.
But those results, that spreadsheet's also shared on there as well. And then in terms of the progress towards key objectives, that's kind of, I sort of started there a little bit, which is this is kind of how we're working in the direction of retention and recruitment, as well as academic achievement, building out some of those tools so that we can track it, and then celebrating the wins that we have. So I think that's it's exciting. And we did share that so far. I have not shared the Vista reports with staff, but I did share the PSAT results with staff so that they could see their work. In general updates and reminders, I did said that the PEC has a support funding for attendance, and I did submit an application. The maximum you can request as a school is 10,000, and I really wished I could have creatively thought of how to spend 10,000 so I could request the full amount. But I looked at two things that I was trying to identify as what I think we could be working on as a school. The first one is it's a program, and shoot, I'm forgetting the name right now. Smart Pass, thank you. Las Cruces uses it, and I was down there with Tony Hull, Dr. Hull, who is the head administrator there, when I was visiting her campus, and she showed me how Smart Pass works on her side. And it in and of itself probably is not an attendance tool. What it does is if students are leaving the classroom to go to the bathroom or to the nurse's office or something, they sign out internally, and allows the school to set some restrictions so that if Karen and I were getting into trouble all the time when we were both signing out from our respective classes to go hang out in the flex room, administration could indicate Jake and Karen cannot leave class at the same time, they're getting in trouble. And then if I signed out to go to the restroom and she intended to, it would say not available at this time, she would have to wait. The students don't know what the rules are in their system, but it would just tell them that yes, you can sign out and go, or no, you can't. And it tracks it from the administrative side, so that if I said I'm running to the nurse's office and it's been 20 minutes and I'm not back in class yet, it will notify the teacher they've been out a long time. For me, the value behind this and why I requested the funding to support that as part of our attendance is from when the student gets into the door of the school and we know they are there that day till the end, we have a much better tracking of where they're at, so we don't risk students being marked absent from classes where they're really on campus. But the internal tools would say if you're going to leave class, you have to have signed out, and all the relevant people will have an indication of who you are, when you signed out, where you indicated you were going, and when and if you signed to get back into your classroom. In addition to that, I requested other money to have some kind of a perfect attendance. And I'll be totally transparent. I'm very uncomfortable with perfect attendance awards because I feel like it to a degree unfairly advantages kids that don't have health issues that might drive some students to miss school once in a while. So I would want to navigate the language of that and how we do it so it doesn't have that impact on them. For the sake of this particular application, I indicated that what I would like is some kind of an attendance assembly or something where we could offer prizes for kids that met our attendance requirements and things, just so it becomes a topic of conversation and something that kind of showcases that attendance is valued by the school and hopefully will help kids have some more incentive to stay. So that was the application I submitted for $8,000 total as a part of that.
May I just say a couple
Sure.
things? So I just really wanted to also share for the board, just to know that whether you knew or not, 2% of your SEG money is taken before we get it to go to the charter schools division to run the charter schools program and all the staff they have to oversee it and the PEC expenses and whatever. And so they usually have extra money from that 2% from all their 50 schools. And this, they sponsor the conference in June from that. So that's a free conference for you all, the training they provide, etc. But there was extra money. So this came up, this is new this year where they have PEC support funding through that funding they take from the schools. They're now finding a way to give it back, some of it back to schools for purposes that they need. And it's based on the prior year annual report. If you were not meeting, if you were working to meet or does not meet a specific indicator. We didn't have a report last year because it was our renewal year. So I suggested Jake go to the prior year. And the only area that we really had anything that we could ask for was around attendance, which is common for a lot of schools. But I just wanted you to know that the PEC is thinking about how to help support schools that are maybe struggling in specific areas. And that was how this funding came to be. And I encouraged, Jake to see if there was something he could apply for it. So he just described what he came up with. So
Is that awarded this year or is it awarded next year?
it'll be this year, I
This
believe.
year. Okay.
It was, they didn't give us a due date, but it just came out in the last week or two, couple weeks, I guess, a week or
Okay.
two. And I had heard them talking about it at a PEC meeting, and where this funding was coming from. So, I think it's great that, I mean, it's not extremely significant, but at least, they're taking some of those funds and putting them back to schools that might need help in different areas, and they're basing it on your annual report. So, I like to have no areas that need improvement, but it is an advantage to have some funds to support any areas where they have found us to be working to meet standards. So attendance is across the board, though.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that with Jake.
Yeah. And then I think the next one is more for me, board training requirements. I just wanted to make sure you all know that the board requirements have changed. So Heather still has 10 hours, but she's done them all. Meaning new members have 10 hours that first year, but then it's only 5 hours for the future years. And many of you have already begun them or even maybe have finished them. I did send a message to Missy asking if you had to do the different areas or just 5 hours total. And I don't know if you returning members know the answer to that question, but if you do, share with me. But if you don't, I did recently, just today, sent an email to Missy asking to clarify. But
I think it was like one in each of the areas and maybe,
is it?
yeah, I think so.
There are
But
5 areas, so it makes sense to me 1 hour in each, but I didn't know if that's how it's being counted. So I do have on your agenda, and down in the reference section, you have links to their tracker, links to our tracker, links to the website where you can see what trainings are being offered. Just wanted to bring it up because in the past, Heather, it was 8 hours for a returning member, but it's only 5 now. So, and it looks like you have met your 10 hours and we don't necessarily need to do an onboarding to get the extra 3 hours. But I'm confirming that all with Missy.
Okay, Karen, I was going to check in with you and just, you can please contact me if there's anything else I need to do. Or if you'd like me to meet with you, I'm happy to do that as well.
Yeah, and I'm happy to meet anytime if you have questions, but I don't want to make you meet if we don't need to. So I'll
Sure,
let you know.
sure. Okay, thank you.
But if you ever have any questions or want to go over anything related to the charter contract, or that's usually what we go over, charter contract policies, the performance framework, things like that.
Okay.
So I can send those to you, and then if you have questions, you can set up with me, but I wait for Missy's answer, because if we have to meet, then we'll make sure to do that to get you the credit, but it looks like you did your 10 hours. So I think we're good.
Okay. Okay, I've been reading through the charter school contract and haven't made it all the way through yet, but I'm working through that.
It's
Thank you.
mostly boilerplate, but there are certain sections that are very school dependent. Anybody else have questions about your training requirements? No.
Karen,
Canvas or look
I
for
can
the
get
ones.
on those through Canvas, right?
Mhm.
They have.
Yeah, and if you go in and don't have the ones you need, email out to Missy. I think I have that on the agenda too. Or charter schools, maybe email. Let me look. Yeah,
I'm
so
also curious because I have to take so many financial accounting CPE credits for my job that I'm wondering if I could just send in my transcript and say I've already done 80 hours of financial, if they'll just count it.
well, they would count it for the 1 hour of financial, but they probably won't count it for academic and policies and procedures and actually I didn't update this section. It's 5 hours. So
It goes pretty quick, Erin. I did 1 hour from the conference that counted for me, but it goes on the Canvas or whatever, it goes pretty quick.
No.
So if you need any help, it is on the agenda. There's virtual sessions that you can join that are synchronous, but there's also the Canvas platform. And if you log in and don't have what you need, there's the emails on the bottom of the agenda to contact, because I don't have any access to that. And if there are no other training things, then just wanted to update the board that the MOU, the memorandum of agreement that Ms. Hughes came to speak to you about, has been executed, and Herrera did push back at all, thankfully, because it's what they have to do. And so we got signed MOUs, and we also, per your request, the bus driver was removed that very next, within a few days after the meeting last, and just wanted to report back that that has been done. And then I'm also going to ask that maybe you want to table this next governing council business thing, Martha. This was raised because generally, if another school with the Explore model asks me to make changes on a policy, I usually bring it to all the boards, but I'm still not sure what exactly they're going to be changing. This is what looks like they might be, but it's Las Cruces is doing it tomorrow night. I don't know if it's something you even would want to consider, but as I said, if one board proposes changes, I like to bring it to the other boards because it might be something worth considering. But basically, they were wanting to increase when the board has to actually sign or approve. And I would prefer to have Patrick here, since he's probably the one that's been doing them the most in terms of approvals. And I know in Las Cruces, it's because funding is so tight and so um, decisions, because we're waiting on reimbursements to make payments, it's wanting to get it out the door quicker is part of it. But I really don't know the details until tomorrow. So I put it there thinking I would have more by now. I don't. And so I would ask that you certainly read the proposed revisions, and we could talk more about it next month. Hopefully Patrick would be here. So my ask would be to table that to the next meeting, and my apologies, but
So do we
they have,
do a motion to table it?
that would be great if you're okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I looked at it quickly, briefly this afternoon because it wasn't on there when I looked at it this morning, but anybody opposed to tabling it? Okay, so I'll move to table the financial internal control policy and the changes. If I can get a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Heather. And I guess we'll do a roll call vote for that.
Yes, Madam Vice Chair. Martha Burr,
Sorry, aye.
Erin Hamilton.
Aye.
Heather Anderson.
Aye.
And Dottie McKinney. Aye.
Okay, so that is approved to be tabled for next month. So yeah, and so I guess you'll give us some background information, just so that we can kind of know more about it, how it'll affect us as well.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to. You don't have to change anything just because Las Cruces does. But as I
Right.
said, generally when when Aaron brought up some changes in our control policies, I proposed them to the other schools too, because we all can benefit from improvements.
Okay,
But I'm not even exactly sure. This didn't stem from me, so I don't really even know.
okay,
But looking at it, it looks to me like they want to
just
increase the amount before the board has to approve or sign a check.
Okay.
And we may not want to do that, and that's fine too. But maybe after tomorrow, I'll know more information and have better. But what's linked on there, if you want to take a look, is just the policy and procedure as it is now. And then
Right.
there's a revision sheet that shows what sections at least we're talking about changing. And I don't know what they're going to end up doing tomorrow. I will
Okay.
certainly update that for next month.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any board comments?
Sorry, that's okay. I was just gonna let Aaron know that Karen did ask your question about standard deviation. So if we get a reply, we'll send it on.
Okay.
So it was asked, but thank you.
Yeah, I
Whenever
asked our
someone puts numbers out there, I'm like, well, I got to understand the context behind these. So
I just like that it's way more than all the others.
The
But
context
sure.
is we rock, and
yeah,
We're winning.
I just want to be able to brag by how much.
But I did ask Melissa, who's our director of assessment, and Clint, who is the director of data systems. I did look that up, Jake. I don't know.
Okay. Any public comments from the board, because there's no public?
There's nobody here.
Yeah, okay, well then, anything else? Otherwise, I guess we'll adjourn the meeting at 7:01. Yay. 90 minutes or less.
I will
Good
let
job,
Patrick
Martha.
know. I will
Is that
let
a
Patrick.
record? Is that a record?
Oh
No,
no, but these past few months have been like 3 hours. Thankfully.
thankfully we didn't have to have a hearing or anything like that today. So
Yes, thankfully. Okay, well, I guess that's it for us, huh? We'll see y'all on December 10th. It'll be our next meeting at 5:30.
and have a wonderful Thanksgiving, you all. I probably won't see you till after that. So have a great holiday, and
You
you
guys,
know where to find me if you have questions.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
as
Yeah.
well.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank you all.
Thanksgiving.
happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thank you. Good
Bye.
night.
Good night.